Three elections inches closer, political parties and politicians have kicked up activities in anticipation of winning at the polls. From political declaration to lobbying for constituents and leaders, interested parties have approached their party secretariat to obtain both its expression of interest and nomination forms. And with the passage of the Not Too Young to Run Act, the Electoral Act, among others, the forthcoming election is expected to witness the participation of more youth and women than any other previous election in Nigeria. However, due to exorbitant cost of nomination forms, these youth and women may be in for another bout of challenges. To discuss this topic further, God bless Otubere, the global president ready to lead Africa, joins us in the studio. Welcome to the Daybreak, Mr. Otubere.
Thank you so much for having me.
We also have Nana Jibrin, a youth aspirant who intends to run for president. She joined us from our Kano studio. Pleasure to have you, Nana, on the show. Nana will join us later, but we have Mr. Otubere now in the studio, and we start the conversation with him. Your organization, has the vision of promoting youth participation in politics. But one major problem that a lot of people say is the issue of war chests. How is that a problem, a challenge for the young people aspiring to participate in the political process?
The issue of funding to run elections anywhere in the world is not unique to Nigeria. It's a problem that we are beginning to analyze and research in democracies. But ours is of a different kind, because when you look at democracies, maybe where we've copied it and how it is done elsewhere, is that the people come together, fund the candidate. But ours is that the candidates are literally the ones doing most of the funding of the process. And
the candidate fund the people.
Yes. So you see how bad that is, that political party members and people in the society are not donating 50 naira, 100 naira, 1,000, 2,000 to a candidate's campaign, but rather you see people waiting for politicians to come and give them money. So it is tough, especially when you have a generation that don't have the kind of monies that the previous generation has access to. A lot of us are just using a lot of inspiration and the capacity to dream to say we want to represent our people. A lot of the people we're competing against are people who have had access to maybe public funds or some sort of funding, So it's a difficult one for our generation, and of course, we are continuing to see what strategies we can create to solve those problems, but they've not been easy.
Okay, so would you say one of the reasons why people aren't coming together to, help fund a candidate is because they don't believe in that particular person? Because there's a report that a youth group came together and purchased PDP presidential nomination form for Peter Obi.
Yes, that is true. Young people, you see, that's why I'm saying it is changing. How fast is the conversation? We've seen in the news lately that the young people are purchasing forms for candidates, or rather for aspirants, that's the word. One of the things we wanted to do as part of the electoral reforms bill that was just signed by the president was to limit the cost of nomination form in the two major parties and all other parties. It shouldn't be more than 10 million. In fact, we were going for 5 million, right? But the parties kicked against it for whatever reason. But the plausible reason they said was, we use that as a filtering process, right? So that you don't have 100 people. Because if it's democracy, people should be able to participate.
Exactly,
right?
I was going to say that.
Yes, because it's not. That's why I said it's not a plausible argument. So at the end of the day, when the bill eventually was touched and reworked, and then we saw that, you know, the parties could literally determine the cost of their own nomination forms, but it is not, and it's not ended yet. That advocacy has not ended. It's an act right now. It can be amended, because if we really want to solve the problem of money politics, it has to start from how things like this are done. How do you even say that a young man like me, maybe in his 37, 35, or 38, and we haven't had that access to the monies that most people have? How do I get the PDP nomination form at 40 million?
Yeah, talking of the cost of nomination forms, as you rightly said, the PDP, which has begun among the major parties, it is the only one that has begun selling forms, and even for governorship, it's 20 million,
Yes.
and other positions is you know, very costly as well. And then the APC, you know, just concluded it is a national convention, and we saw the forms going for 5 million, 10 million, 20 million for the chairmanship. Don't you think these are like barriers maybe set to, to exclude especially the young people?
I mean, absolutely it is. It is. But when you ask them, they'll tell you no, but it is. It's clear for everybody to see what the PDP and what the APC is doing. You are excluding young people. Because if I want to run for the chairmanship, if I were to belong to the APC, and I'm thinking, how do I get 20 million to buy a form? And I also understand that. I mean, let's give some credit. I don't know what the APC would do in terms of all of their officers. I know right now we're talking about the presidency, right? But I know that part of the communications we're seeing is that the PDP has fairly reasonable rates when it comes to House of Assembly, House of Reps forms, and all of that. I think with about 1.5 million right now, you can get your forms for the reps. I mean, 500 is an expression, and then I think 1 million for. So it is still at that level. There is some level of progress that have been made, and I think it is important that we see what the APC will do when it comes to their own, those are. But now I know this conversation is centered around the presidency, but for all of the offices, I think some of the parties, especially, the one we've seen, PDP is doing pretty well on that, and we're waiting for what the other parties will do, especially the APC, which is another big party, and I'm hoping that they would consider young people in their plans and ensure that they give a level playing field to more young people. But if the conversation is centered around only the presidency, both of them, I'm giving them knocks.
All right. Yeah. So right about now, we also have Nana Jibrin, a youth aspirant who intends to run for president, joining us all the way from Kano. Good morning and welcome to Daybreak, Nana.
Good morning, and thank you for bringing me.
Not too young to run, act. Do you think this is actually the best time, considering all the challenges facing Nigeria, for the youths to come out and vie for elections?
Hello, good morning. Thank you for bringing me on the show.
Can you hear me?
Some of your questions because I can hear Yes, I can hear you now. Can you kindly repeat the question?
Yes, what I said was, despite the not too young to run act, do you think, considering every challenge, everything going on in Nigeria and the challenges, facing Nigerians, this is the right time for the youths to actually vie for elections or elective positions?
Yes, this is the right time for youths to come out. Because we have been experiencing a lot of things in Nigeria, and they have been saying that there's a bill for that, and I feel that this is the right time for youths to come out and join politics. Is even one of the reasons why I decided to join the race, because we cannot just sit down and we don't really know what is happening to our country. For me, as far as I'm concerned, Nigeria is the only place that we have, and if the same people will continue ruling us, then when is the right time for us to join politics? I think 2023 is the right time for every citizen, especially the youth, to come out and join politics and be part of the political process in Nigeria.
Okay.
Nana, you are both a young person and a woman. And we know we have Mr. Otubere here in the studio discussing the issue of the challenges before youth. And of course, the women in politics are also faced with a number of challenges and uphill tasks. How are you going to surmount these two dual hindrances, so to say, in terms of fulfilling your own aspiration to contest for the presidency?
Hello, I feel that for so many years we've been talking about this affirmative action for women, but up till now we have not gotten to that stage. And for example, the recent issue that happened in the National Assembly, that women are agitating for more seats, which was denied by the National Assembly. But I was very impressed the way women stood for their right. You could see them every day at the gate of the National Assembly trying to stand for their rights, and also the youths. If eventually I become the president of Nigeria, there is no any country that can succeed having one sector or maybe one gender in politics. There should be equal participation in the affairs of the state or the nation, so that we can have a developed nation. So if I end up being the president of Nigeria, sure, I will include women and youths in my cabinets for continuity and progress. And I'm very optimistic that women and youth can do very well when appointed or when elected into offices.
Let's come back to Otubere in the studio. Mr. Otubere, now the PDP NEC approved a 50% reduction in nomination fees for youths aged 25 to 30 years of various elective positions. Is that a way forward? Is that a solution?
It is one of the solutions. There is no one solution that solves every problem, but it's a good one because what the party is doing is to literally say we're listening to young people, and this is what we're doing. I think for women, I think it's actually free.
50% is
it 50% for women?
Yes.
Okay, great. I think there was a particular conversation where I saw that either the expression of interest is free.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes, expression of interest is free, and then there's a 50% reduction in the form
on nomination.
For nomination. So what that does is literally saying we are listening and we want, there are a lot of us who believe that anybody who thinks that a woman needs to be helped should rethink who they think a woman is. A woman is a powerful gender that sometimes can outperform or outdo the male gender, right? Sometimes when you see how a woman can multitask, taking care of a child, making food, and we can't do that as men. We're like straight. If our mind is here, this is where we are. But a woman is capable of doing all of these things. Now, when women can understand that power, I believe that if you see the response from what women did with the rejection of the bills at first, now you see there's a reconsideration of those bills simply because they did not take no for an answer. So I am just simply saying to the women of the world, keep pushing, keep making demands, keep asking questions. And there are a lot of us who are out here who believe that there is nothing that we are able to do that a woman cannot do. Therefore, women should be given all the necessary support, and also women should organize and not agonize. There is no, like they would tell us, power is not given a la carte. Opportunities are not given to you sometimes freely, or most times freely. You've got to work for it. So I enjoin more women to continue to push and make their voices heard. And to every political party that is making adjustment, well done.
And back to you, Nana. The political space is male-dominated, especially the gladiators in the major parties. I don't know what platform are you running under, but do you see yourself having space, especially in some of these major parties?
Hello, I think I'm going to make my decision very soon on that. And why not? I am very determined, vibrant, and bold, and I feel that there is no any reason why I should not have a space in any existing or powerful parties, the way we do call them, the APC, the PDP, and the rest. I only need a few days to decide on which party I would like to vie for the office of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Sure, I will. Thank you.
Now, Mr. Otobore, some have actually complained that, you spend too much money, trying to contest for elections. Like at the just concluded, convention, there was an aspirant that actually talked about how he spent 300 million naira for campaigns, and some have actually said that a large amount of money used for contesting is the reason why when leaders actually go into office, there's a lot of corruption and they steal so much money. Do you agree with that statement?
Yes. It's a no-brainer, and we've said this before. We're working on a theory called the dissipation of energy syndrome. So a young man is visionary about the country. He wants to solve problems. He wants to give back. He wants to take the country to another level. And he says, okay, well, I cannot do this if I don't get into politics where I can make some of these decisions. So the young man says, okay, I'm going to run for office. First, he has, let's say, 20 million in his account. Ordinarily, in another climb, he probably will spend 5 million of his own money, because the law also guides how you spend your money, and it is closely monitored. And then the law also says that you need the people to make those contributions. So what it means is that even if that guy were to lose, he's not spending let's say 18 million of his money, and then he's going to go broke at the end of it all. So look at that scenario. But come back here. Someone was just trying to run for the chairmanship of a party. And we're hearing now, like you've rightly reported, 300 million. Now, that is the one that is reported, right? So when people spend their monies like this and they get into office, of course, and we know that they have access to public fund. So at the end of the day, what has happened is that it has become a business. Investment, that's what it is now. So if I do 300 million, I'm sorry, sir, if I do 300 million, I want to get maybe 100% profit. So when I get into office, my first task is to recoup my 300 million back. Because people borrow money now from banks to run for office. So, and that is a very, very dangerous trend, that if we do not solve it as a people, our politics will never be better.
What about most of them, having godfathers who pay for these things, and these godfathers end up dictating the tune?
That is also one of the problems, because at the end of the day, he who pays the piper
Dictates the tune.
takes the tune. So
Your statement on all this money in politics somehow touch on the question I wanted to ask you. How are the young people going to differ in terms of monetization of our political process to ensure that you turn the tide instead of going the way of the elites or the big men who have already are used to this monetization of almost the entire process?
So there are a few solutions to this. It's going to be difficult, but you need to get the democratic experience back to the people. In 1999, when we came back to democracy, what the people who started, what they would have done or what they should have done is to hand over the process to the people again. In the old days, people had parties had members. Members had cards. People paid dues, right? I know people still pay dues to political parties today, but is that the main source of political parties' income? No. So the idea, therefore, is that we must ensure that as a younger generation, if a candidate is running, even if we can't do it all at once, a certain percentage of that candidate's funding must come from the public, right? So before you are even cleared to be a candidate, right, we must see a structure of how you plan to raise your funding. We must see that the populace are donating to your campaign. At the end of the day, let us look at it. It is very simple. The reason people are hell-bent on stealing when they get into public office in Nigeria is simply because the process that gets them into office is too expensive. We need to get our people to start donating. And in that way, you know that they have a say. So this is what politicians say. Well, when I came to you, I gave you money. For you to come out to rally, I gave you money. For me to come and do consultation, I gave you money. For me to drive through your street, I paid, right? So I don't owe you an explanation, really. Because let's be factual, let's be honest. If somebody had to borrow, there are people now running. I have a friend who is running for House of Assembly in Delta, and I know how much he spent. For now, he's planning to say, okay, if they use the delegate system where delegates would have to be the one to decide who becomes the candidate, he's budgeting millions. Look, I'm talking about people who now, to become a delegate is the next big thing in our political space, in any of the parties. Because a delegate is now thinking, he's going to collect from this person, collect from this person, collect from this person. It is unheard of. So we need to get the party structure, we need to get the funding mechanism back to the people. And how you get it back to the people is letting INEC. Thank God we've now had the new Electoral Act, which has empowered INEC to be a bit more stronger, right? To say, look, a political party must show us how they intend to fund. Where is your funding coming from? How much do you have? How much is this candidate going to get? How much is coming from the public? Okay, you cannot donate, 10 million to a candidate. We need to start having super PACs, just like we have abroad, so that when people get into office, they know that the people have a stake in the entire process. So you don't get into office and you say, well, your money was not part of my election, because that is what you hear from a lot of politicians after they win.
Okay, now let's go back to Nana. Now, Nana, what party are you contesting under? And do you think the political parties or even Nigeria is ready for a female president?
I haven't made up my mind on the party that I'm going to contest under, and I'll make that known very soon. And I don't think gender has anything to do with being a president or not, because if you check other countries, there are so many women that are president and they are doing pretty well. And since the situation has been like that, I think Nigerians should elect a woman for the first time in Nigeria, and God willing, maybe the situation in Nigeria will improve better than when men have been ruling us for a very long time now. And I'm so happy that 2022, so many women are trying to come out, maybe in group or individual, trying to stand on their feet and say this is a time that we need more women in the political activities, and also we need more youths in the political activities in Nigeria. And you can see the things going on in Nigeria, the situation, the insecurity, and so many things. And we cannot just sit on the fence and be watching. This is the time that I am calling on everybody to join politics. And I'm very optimistic that Nigeria won't feel anything having a woman as their president come 2023. And for me, it's a good move.
Even if Nigerians or Nigeria is not ready for a woman yet, women should actually come out, and in time, they will learn to accept the fact that, probably this particular year, it's time for a woman to lead the country.
Dasha, let me cut you here. I think Nigerians are ready for women to come out and participate in politics. Because on my page alone, I have seen so many men saying that if the men cannot do, then they should give a space for women to try their best. So if they are ready, even though they are not ready, I know that we'll get certain numbers of Nigerians who are ready for women to come out and who are ready to see a woman president, and also see if it's possible for Nigeria to change for better, because we don't have anywhere to go. For me, I don't have anywhere. Nigeria is where I belong and is where I want to live the rest of my life.
Okay, so sorry to cut you short. How has the support from other women
I'll be vying for the office of the president.
Push, or you're vying for presidency? How has the support been so far?
I would say 70% for now.
Okay, all right, which is fair.
Nana, you have heard Mr. Otubre here, who has lamented a lot about the place of money, how funding is a challenge for young aspirants like yourself. How are you going to surmount this hurdle, or how much of a challenge do you see funding in your own campaign?
I know that there will always be challenges when it comes to funding, but we have a structure and we're really working on that template. We have a plan, and I'm optimistic that at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how the challenges are, we'll get through. Because I have teams that are working on that.
Nomination forms and also funding for the youths, considering that a large percentage of the youths are unemployed in Nigeria today, and even those who are, either they have their salaries cut short and everything, and there's been a lot of clamor for the youths to become members of a political party. Now, when these particular youths decide to, want to, vie for positions, and then, for example, you said nomination form is 40 million naira, do you think this is the older ones, because there's actually been this drag between the older ones and the younger ones as well? Do you think this is, these older ones, trying to frustrate the efforts of the youths?
I don't want to get into that battle, because one of the things we have come to realize is that we're not fighting the generation ahead of us. We're not trying to say we're fighting them. What we're simply saying is that we can be better. And if you guys have not been able to get us to that better, we don't want to follow in that light. We are offering an alternative. Are there actions that look like they are deliberately trying to stifle us? Yes, of course, because when you go back in time and you figure out that the Gowons, the Obasanjos, the Aguiyi season, a lot of them who left this country, and some of them are still here till today, started at 28, 29.
Very young.
And then you created a constitution and initially said for you to run for president, you had to be 40. That was a deliberate attempt to kill your own youth. It's a shame. It took us how many years for us to organize to bring that thing down to 35? What we wanted was 30. But at the end of the day, what we got was just was 35. Do you know why? Because that generation don't trust the quality of citizens that they've raised. For you to say at 30, do you know what 30 years is? 30 years is 3 decades on earth. Now, at 30, in a society that works, you should have done nursery, primary, secondary, nursery, primary, secondary, and university. You should be rounding off your university education around, say, 20-something. You should have done maybe a master's, right? You should have been able, you should have had some work experience. You should have been exposed. If you're going into the force, you should be in the military already. You know, that's what 30 years can give you. But if a people can look into can sit down, look and have a conversation and say, no, we don't think our 30-year-olds are ripe enough to be a president of this country. It should tell you something about the older generation. They don't trust themselves. They raised a generation that they cannot even trust. So what is happening is, whilst we have changed that narrative from we're not combatant, we're not fighting them, what we're simply doing is saying, your generation, this is all you have offered us.
Mr. October, there is the saying, and I think quite a number of key political actors have said that the youth should not wait to be dashed the opportunities. How ready are the young people to push for a space on the table? I say this because Dashen had earlier mentioned that some young people came together to buy form for somebody who is not a young person. So how ready are the young to really take their owns up there?
We are ready to lead Africa. We are ready to lead Nigeria, and we will do it. So let me explain what is happening. Our generation is that generation that is upwardly mobile, we're digital, we're smart, we're pragmatic. We understand data, we understand how things work. At this moment, I'm not going to sound pessimistic, but in 2023, a 35-year-old may not be able to win Nigeria's presidency because we don't have the data on our side yet. We have the numbers, but the data is not on our side yet. The numbers for everybody, all right? But the critical voting data and the direction of how you manage that data into a cohesive unit, it's not on our side yet. And who is our 35-year-old, or who is our 38-year-old, or who is our 40-year-old? We are still working on that. But what we are doing, and I think this is what a lot of young people must take faith in, is that we are backing our aspiration with the necessary groundwork. And the necessary groundwork is organizing to get the No Too Young to Run bill passed. Also, let me say this. The No Too Young to Run bill also says that the national youth leader of any political party must be between the ages of 18 and 35. So a lot of wins that people don't talk about, it's not just the reduction of the age to run for governor or president. It's that, unlike before where you have 50-something-year-old people saying they are the youth leader of a political, it can't happen now. We will take you to court, we will win, right? So let's hang that. Part of how we are ready is that we are organizing and using the framework that is legal, non-violently, to begin to set the pace. So we've gotten the No Too Young to Run bill done in 2018, signed in 2018 and active in became active now, and now is active. Now we've organized again, we've gotten the electoral reforms bill done, of course in partnership even with the older generation. Now that is done. What it means is that election results are no longer going to be rising like Gary when you put it in water. It means that if I vote at if I vote at Trust TV and my polling unit says 200 vote to TTT, or 300 vote to YYY, it means that when I get to my house in maybe just the next street, I'm not going to see 2,000 for TTT. I'm not going to see 1 million for YYY because of electronic transmission of results. Also, INEC is not going to come back and say, oh, no, I don't have the monies I need, because 1 year into election, INEC should get the monies that they need. It means that INEC is a bit, so that is how you know a generation that is ready to lead. What we are doing is that we are working, not just talking, but we are working the talk by using what is available within the system to engage the system. So by 2027, this is what we would have done. By 2023, the goal is to get a lot of houses of assembly seats across the country. You put in a lot of young people. What that tells you is that the guy who is going to run for president needs people in the houses of assembly to drive the vision. The goal is not to look for a messiah. That's not our generation. Our generation is not looking for a messiah. Our generation is looking for messiahs, because we need them in Kano, we need them in Oyo, we need them in Zamfara, we need them in Cross River, we need them in Edo, we need them in Abuja, we need them in Kogi, we need them in Benue. That is what our generation wants to do. We're not looking for a Buhari or a Jonathan, or no, because at the end of the day, one man may provide the vision, but you need soldiers who believe in that vision and people who are going to independently lead other states. Ground top, that's the strategy. So we are ready. The truth is that the people who have bought forms for Peter Obi, I don't know what is the motivation, but that is, if you say young people did that, is maybe they looked at the entire framework and said, maybe Peter Obi is not as old as the other people, so he looks young to them. So, but we have a strategy that we're following, how do you say it? Is it methodically? Yeah, and I just want to tell Nigerian youth, don't be in a hurry. 2023 is just here. Let's go for the low-hanging fruit. There are things we can control. They are the ones we cannot control. For now, give it to the guys who are still running the place. We can use our numbers to negotiate for certain things, but our eyes on the goal. 2027 or 2021.
Okay. All right, let's go back to Nana. Nana, how do you intend to drive your candidature, considering that you're not as popular as other people vying for president, like Atiku Abubakar and the rest?
We need to do a lot of advocacy gatherings, bringing youths together and women together in different states, so many activities, training and the rest of it, because we need people to know that we are coming out to contest. And people need to know us. Like you rightly say, many people don't know me. Even my name doesn't sound like, for example, the name doesn't sound in the ears of anybody that hears my name, Nana Jibrin. Nana Jibrin is just every normal Nigeria on the streets. But I feel that this is a time that we need to make a change. We need to come together and to let people understand that it has been for years now the people prefer to see those people that their names have always been there. But I feel that we'll do a lot of gathering, campaigns, advocacy, and so many, so many activities will be done. So many activities will be done in each state. I have a group of people organizing women and youths that we have to go and address them and tell them that this is our vision, our mission, and our objectives while we're coming out. With time, you get to see our activities and you get to know what we are going to do to bring people to accept us and also join in the movement. Though I know it's not going to be easy, it's going to be
young
challenging.
people like yourself who aspired for high positions say that they get maybe sometimes looked down upon by some people. Last week on the show, we had some young person who aspired for APC national chairmanship, and he relived some of this experience. How are the reactions? Are people maybe taking you as somebody that is too ambitious or unserious or trying to ridicule this your very patriotic move to aspire for the presidency?
It's a normal thing to see people ridicule you, to see people that don't really believe in what you're doing because they know you don't have that funds to participate in the highest position. But the most important thing is for you to be determined, to be strong. Well, as far as I'm concerned, I know that some people are just thinking maybe I'm joking. But the truth of the matter is that I am not joking. I am determined. And if there is anything that I have to do to change the mindset of people, I would definitely do that. And even you as an individual have to be serious, have to be determined. It's not all about money. People should know that Nigeria comes first. And the reason why things are not working is because we believe in money. We believe in money politics, and people think that, okay, because you don't have money or because you're not from a wealthy family or because you don't have godfathers or because you're too young to be in that position, so you cannot be there. But let me tell you, I am determined, I am bold, and I'm going to take this this election to a standard that people do not expect. The only thing that I'm begging from Nigerians is just for them to give me all the support that I need. Definitely, we don't have that fund, but it's a good thing that somebody is coming to say, I want to contest for the office of the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That will also encourage youths and women to join politics. If we cannot make it in 2023, we are looking on to 2027, but we must start that movement now. And if really Nigeria are willing to support us, their 100 naira will go a long way. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Nana, for joining us on Daybreak today. Congratulations to you, and we wish you all the best, in your future endeavors as well. Thank you, Dashin. I truly appreciate you giving me the time to be here. Thank you. And we also have Mr. God Bless Otubure, Global President, ready to lead Africa. Thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. And with that, we've come to the end of a Daybreak on Trust TV. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll be back again tomorrow, same time, same station. I'm Dashan Husseina Usman.
See you next time. I am Abdulaziz Abdulaziz. Good morning.